Hey everyone, it's Jen, and today I'm going to be showing you 4 easy ways to create cuts and bruises using tissue paper, cotton wool, paint and eyeshadow. So let's get into it. So we're going to move on to the cuts. I'm going to do the classic beginner method using tissue paper and liquid latex. I'm using the Melron liquid latex, which I find a lot better now than the cheap stuff that I've been using, which is good. So what I'm going to do with this sponge that I have is carefully put some liquid latex on it. Try and not get it everywhere because it gets very sticky very quickly. I'm going to apply a very thin layer of liquid latex onto my arm like so, and with that I'm going to press that sponge there. Get your tissue paper and rip it, and then just place it onto the liquid latex just like that, and you can build it up as many times as you want. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll be right back. Now this is what I've got on my arm. I'm going to let it dry, and then once it's dried I'm going to get a foundation and put it across so it blends in with my skin. I know it's not my skin colour, I don't have that on me right now, it's over in somewhere in my bedroom but I'm going to be using the Rimmel London Lasting Finish SPF 20 foundation on it once it's dry, and then I'm going to get my trusty old Athena palette, which I am absolutely loving, to fill in the rest. So what I'm going to do is obviously fill, if it's dry, which it is, if I can find my tiny little scissors. I should have got all of this ready, so don't follow that step, make sure you got everything ready. So with these tiny scissors, if you want to be very careful, this is if you want to, you can cut the extended slit just carefully without catching obviously your own skin as well, because otherwise it would be very disastrous, and we doesn't want that, because it'd definitely be a trip to the hospital, that's for sure. So I'm carefully snipping in to my arm to extend the cut outwards like so. So it should look like this, and if you want to you can start obviously rolling the edges and obviously making it a little bit better. So with the foundation I'm just gonna plump some onto it. That's a bit too much, but don't follow that step. You don't want too much, otherwise you're gonna look like a mess. And with the other end of your liquid latex sponge, which I don't mind because I end up chucking these sponges and I'll have to get some more, you just want to blend it into obviously your arm like so. It looks a bit of a mess right now. If I just extend it out a little bit, so it's starting to look a bit like this. And once that's all blended out, it doesn't have to be perfect, just forget the perfectness. You're not doing everyday makeup, you're doing special effects horror makeup. You don't need it to be perfect unless you want it to. Now once that is all blended out, I'm going to now get a paintbrush and start filling in the old custom stuff. So with this lovely palette, I'm going to go into the red like so, and get a thin brush like this and basically just fill it in like that, so it starts to look a bit more blooded up. This is more of a pinky red, so I will build it up a bit more with like other colours in a bit, so I will be back once I've finished with the red. Now you've got the red all sorted in the cut like so, you want to go in with a little bit black to deepen the cut. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. So just around, obviously, the edges and in the inside to blend it out a bit. Obviously, if you want to go in with more red, which I am going to possibly do, yeah, I'm going to put some more red in, just to make it look a bit darker, if you know what I mean. Don't forget, this is beginner friendly, so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, which I absolutely love, because that's the good thing about special effects. You don't need to be perfect unless you're doing like a pretty clown or something, I don't know. So yeah, that is a beginner friendly first cut of the day. So now that cut is complete, you could probably add some bruising around it or anything you really like. So now it's sort of the same thing, but with cotton wool buds or cotton wool. I've got little strands of cotton wool, you just want to unravel that, and basically the liquid latex is the same step again, and this time I'm going to do something a little bit different, hopefully. So yeah, so again, another thin layer, just again on this side of the arm, like so. Let it dry a little bit, and then we're gonna stick the cotton wool to it, which I find cotton wool a little bit more effective than tissue paper. Obviously it suits your own preference, because you can do all sorts with cotton wool once it's stuck down and looks a bit more gruesome looking, if you know what I mean. And the only thing about cotton wool, what does my head in, it gets absolutely everywhere. So you're forever defluffing yourself. I'm literally shedding myself like a sheep. And then again, you want to just layer it down with some more liquid latex onto your arm. This is where your liquid latex will probably stick to itself a lot more with this sort of stuff. You can do veins with cotton wool, all sorts of things, but this is my attempt at cotton wool cut that I haven't done for a long time. The last time I done a cotton wool cut was what, 2017, 2018, something like that. So I may be a little bit rusty, but if you can see it, this is what it's starting to look like. Then what I'm going to do is obviously build the layers up, but at the moment it's just looking like this, like a glove. And then you repeat that step 3 more times, and then you will have your cut. So that's what I'm going to do off camera. So now we're waiting for this to dry. It looks like it is actually drying very quickly, which is very good with Melron. I like the fact that it dries very quickly and you can just carry on doing what you're doing. So we're going to get the same little scissors, very carefully cutting into that lovely cotton wool, like so. I find the cotton wool easier to cut as well, which the tissue is good, but I think the cotton wool's got more of a better, I don't know how to put it in the right words, if you know what I mean. It makes it look more realistic, if you know. Yeah, that's the better word I was looking for. That's the word I was looking for. So if you want to, it will start to look like so. So what I'm doing is basically, it's really hard to show you when I've got this on the arm. Just doing it like this to roll it out like so. Now that bit's done. Same foundation on the edge of the sponge this time, not too much as the last time, and just go around the edges of it, doing the same motion as the last one. But yeah, when I tend to do liquid latex looks, if I haven't got cotton wool buds, I will use tissue paper. If not, it's always cotton wool, because I tend to have the best effects with that than I do tissue paper. Whereas tissue paper, it looks like the skin's raised, but with cotton wool it just looks more realistic, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think out there, but that's just me. If you do try these cuts out, let me know. Definitely let me know. I like to see what people do with this sort of thing. It's interested me for a long time. So I'm going to carry on just dabbing that out like so, and obviously repeat the same steps as I did with the old. See, that looks so much better. I don't know why, but it does. I'm going to just repeat the same steps with the paint. Go back to the trusty old Athena. I'm also going to use, wherever I've put it, the Makeup Revolution special effects palette, because they have this like really good deep red. This comes out more like a pinky red, but I think if you build it up, it will come out that deep colour that you need. And again, just go in with the paintbrush into your arm, like so. I think I might do a little bit more detail on this one, so it looks like that. It's starting to look quite good already, to be fair. And now with the same little brush that you use for the black, you want to go back in with the black just around the edges this time, not everywhere. So just around the edges to deepen it up a bit, like so. If you want to, you can blend the black out a little bit so it starts to look a bit like that. This one looks a bit more realistic than that one, to be honest with you. You're doing good, Jen, you're doing good. Hey, you gotta be funny when you do these. Anyway, carry on doing that black, like so. If I do go quiet, it's because I'm concentrating. I don't want to botch it up. And it looks a bit like that. If you want to, because obviously I've got a deeper red in this palette, it's just there. I'm going to go in with the trusty old red brush. Ooh, you could, if you wanted to, you could add a bit more than just red in there. Make it look a bit more infected. You can add a bit of green, a bit of all sorts of things. And you just build it up until you're happy with it, basically. And with that, I am happy with it. There you go, and that's what it looks like. You can have obviously fake blood and that to it as well, but I'm gonna do a little bit more detailing. I go into my good old trusty fluffy brush. Obviously I'm going to be using this for Bruises very soon. You can go in with some bruising, which I tend to do. So with that, I'm going to go in with the special effects palette again, because they tend to have better colours, and go in with this purple just around the edges of the cup, so it looks a bit like that. always hum a tune when I do this sort of stuff. I don't know why. Because you want to make it look a bit gruesome, right? You don't want to just make it look like a plain old Jane cup. And that is your cotton wool cut with liquid latex. Now we're going to move on to the bruising. I'm going to be using that fluffy brush that I used for this cut earlier on, and start off with the yellow. This time I'm actually going to do it on my face. So with this fluffy brush, you just want to dab it on, just go in with the yellow, and then obviously blend it out. It depends on how big you want your bruise. So this is the paint bruising. We will be showing you eyeshadow just in a sec. So once you've got the yellow put down like so, looks a bit weird so far. Looks like I'm putting yellow concealer on my face, and it will start to look like that. Obviously I want it to look gory. I want to look, well, not gory, but you know, more realistic. And then you go in with a purple. I have got a deeper, darker purple, which I will end up putting in a sec to make it more realistic. It's starting to look kind of like one already, which is what I'm aiming for. Can you see? And then you're going to go in with the teeniest amount of blue. You don't want it to be like mega blue, unless you want to make it an old bruise. This time I'm going in with a lighter blue, not a darker blue. And you just want to keep obviously blending it in. Because I'm kind of doing it so it looks like I've been punched in the face or poked in the face like Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, because that looked painful indeed. And then there is the bruising. But then if you want to, I followed someone on TikTok, obviously I'm going to get this. You can go in with a bit of brown, but this time I might not use the fluffy brush. I'm just gonna dab it onto my face like so. And you can just see it there. So all you need is purples, blues and yellows in paint, and that's what you will look like. So I'm going to get my eyeshadow and do the same. Now we're going to move on to the eyeshadow bruises, which I'm going to be using the Makeup Revolution Maxi Reloaded, because it's got that nice orangey yellow in here somewhere. And also I'm going to use the Makeup Revolution Forever Flawless Constellation palette. I think the yellow's in this one. No, it's in this one. I knew it. So what I'm going to do is obviously get this colour, which is like a yellow colour, and this is just with eyeshadow. And you do the same step as you did for the paint side. Sometimes I find eyeshadow a little bit better than just your plain old paint, but then paint makes it look more realistic. It depends on how far or how easy you want it. This is for people that don't have paint and have access to makeup, and if you have paint, that one's for that one. You just fill it out until you're happy with it. It's like you haven't slept in days. And that's what it should start to look like. Now you're done with that one, Just make sure you don't get it in your eye like I just did. Jesus. And then you get the purple, which is called Cosmic, and just dub it into where you've put the good old yellow. This one's going to look a bit older. I think if you use your eyeshadow, the Bruises always make it look older, whereas paint makes it look newer. That's why I always lean to paint. Now I've got the access to the better stuff. And yes, I fooled my mum many of times doing this. Sorry, mum. And then we're just going to go in with a little bit of blue. Again, just dabbing it into the eye socket. Okay. Until you are happy with it again. So you got newer bruise and kind of a older bruise, I suppose. So like this one looks like it's new-ish, and then this one's like, oh, maybe not. This one's newish. This one's like healing, if you know what I mean. I've done it the other way around this time, and then with a little bit of brown, just to blend it all together, like so. And there is your simple and easy Bruises with paint and eyeshadow. And if I look further back, I look like I had definitely been punched in the face. And there you have it. 4 easy ways to create cuts and bruises using materials you probably have, and tell me which one you want to see in an upcoming look that I'm planning to do. And if you have any other suggestions, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching and stay spooky.